Hi guys. So long time no see. Since Season of Mastery came out, I've kind of been playing the game non-stop, and I think that's why I haven't really been uploading any videos to the channel for a little while. This video is gonna be on how I farmed my epic mount, how I got the gold for it, and also kind of covering a few of my struggles, I guess. Kind of learning a little bit about how the economy works in Season of Mastery. Of course, we've had some changes to some things in the game, such as more accessibility of some of the rarer resources that exist in WoW, like the Black Lotus being able to be gathered more frequently, not being on as long of a timer, and also it being randomly available from things like Mountain Silver Sage and Plague Bloom. That has definitely affected the value of Black Lotus, and also the elemental earth and fire are way more accessible now that they can be mined, and also because of the existence of the transmute, from where you can get 3 elemental fires from 1 heart of fire. Beforehand, that was not a transmute that was in the game at launch, and that's why that, for instance, greater fire protection potions are so cheap right now. They're about 1 gold on my server. If you can get them cheap, that's at least what the mats are worth usually. And in general, it just seems like a lot of the things that should be worth more money are very, very cheap at the moment. So initially I was kind of struggling to figure out exactly what I was going to do to farm gold. I kind of tried to solo Diamol East, and I had some success with it. It just wasn't really consistent enough. My gear wasn't good enough. I felt like it was taking too long, and I was also sometimes dying in there. So I had to change it up, and eventually settled on this farm in Un'Goro that I'm going to be explaining in a little bit. It's pretty consistent. I'd say I've probably made about like 50 if it's bad, if I'm not getting any arcane crystals, maybe like between 50 and 80 gold per hour, just depending on your luck with how much stuff you're getting. I'd say around 60 gold per hour is probably the average, if you can get this to yourself. And that might not sound like a lot, but for many classes it's kind of impossible right now to make more money than that. I at least haven't been able to figure out a consistent method of getting more money than 60 gold per hour doing anything in the game. So this is what I'm going to be doing for the foreseeable future, I think. And hopefully this doesn't get stolen by everybody, now that I've mentioned that this is what I've been doing. But yeah, let's get into the farm. For this farm to be worth doing, I recommend that you have a grind spec, so anything that can kill mobs relatively quickly. I don't recommend being tank or healer for this, even though it is, I guess, possible. It's just going to be worse for you overall. So you should have a grind spec, and you should have herbalism and mining. I'd like to briefly cover how I think the nodes work, how I apply this information, and how I get the most gold per hour farming the veins and the herbs in Un'Goro. Essentially what I've done on this map is I've mapped out the vein spawns into zones. In Un'Goro, I call these zones RTV1, RTV2 and RTV3. Each zone can host a single vein at a time, spawning randomly in one of the given spawn points inside the RTV zone. This vein will either be a rich thorium vein, or if you're unlucky, a true silver vein. After you've picked the vein, the respawn timer for the next vein will start. I've seen this be as short as 8 minutes to as long as 13 minutes. So now that I've explained how the farm works, I'd like to just take you through an example of me doing it, and just show you how I get it going and how I get started doing the farm. Because it's as soon as you get it going, it's pretty easy to keep it going. It's more about getting it started for sure. So we start off at Fireplume Ridge, and we're just going to be looking for our first rich thorium vein. So as soon as we mine this, we're going to be starting our timer. And the timer is really important, because that is what we're going to be using to control the spawns. So we know kind of like the range of when we're going to get the next spawn. So as long as we can get all the spawns aligned, we can kind of take them all in a clean sweep, and then we can just kind of grind at Fireplume for the elementals, for the Essence of Fire and the Elemental Fire, which is going to be pretty good gold. So now we head down to RTV2. We're gonna mine that as well. This is the middle of the night, so right now I'm not really thinking about getting the herbs. I just want to get the time of the veins. So I'm kind of just rushing to each of the veins, trying to make sure I get them as quickly as possible, so I can get the timers kind of aligned in as tight of a range as possible. So I see that another level 60 is here, and that immediately made me kind of nervous. So I'm kind of asking my guild as well, like I might need a layer, because I don't want to be competing with other people for the veins. So if you see like some PvPer that you know is kind of good, that you don't really want to have to deal with, you can kind of just layer out and get a different layer. But usually as long as you can get these veins on a timer, you don't really have to bounce. You can just kind of control them, and it's not really going to be too tricky for you to have them, even though that you might think that there are other people who also want to try and get them. If you have the timers, you're kind of king. So we just saw our third one, so I'm just going to be looting this Mountain Silver Sage, and then I'm going to go get it. And then we're going to start heading back to Fireplume. And there we're just going to spend our time grinding, looking for Mountain Silver Sage, and just waiting for the next Rich Thorn vein to spawn. We know that as soon as that one spawns, the other ones are going to be pretty close to spawning as well, if not already spawned. So we're just going to wait for the RTV1 to spawn, and then we know we can safely go to RTV2, and then RTV3, and then back, and then we just rinse and repeat. Any downtime you have, just spend that grinding the fire elementals, and you'll get pretty good gold power doing that as well. Just fit as much of that in as you can, as well as just picking up the dream foil and the sun grass that you see around. It's going to be pretty good gold, just picking up most of what you can find.